The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Check this.
Fáilte daine go G and DL Debate le Misha Brendan Devenney and Shaw Highland Radio. Welcome everyone to the DL Debate. Thanks so much for tuning in now on the podcast or back live in Highland Radio. Hang on a second, Joe, to get that right. It's the shades, you see. Joe's laughing at me. I can't take the shades off. Weather's too good. Here being produced, Joe Dex as ever. Joe's available for hire now, right, Joe? I'll be his agent. Contact me and we'll get you a deal done. Top DJ Joe Dex there, as ever, is looking after us this evening. I want to thank Ivan Borland, the legend that is Ivan, and the Power Hour Plus, and Katie for the news there. Folks, another packed show this evening. What a weekend it was for sport here in Donegal. And, you know, unbelievable scenes at Balbuffet yesterday. Just a day that it was, the championship, and just the form that Donegal are in, and I suppose the belief that we have in Jim and his team. We're going to hear from Jim shortly. I caught up with him after the game yesterday just to get his views on that victory. And of course Monaghan, that's coming up now down the tracks, champions of Division 2 at Clonus, looking like Easter Sunday at about 2 o'clock. Everyone's just looking for confirmation on that. After Jim, I'm going to speak with Gary Boyle, our under-20 manager. I caught up with him earlier on today after their blistering start in the group stages, and all things going great underage at Donegal. Goes Carl Lacey back in there as well. Their under 17s going well, and Donegal top in the group, beating Antrim for Fermanagh down, and a great victory against Tyrone. So great to catch up with Gary. Then we're going to pick through the analysis of yesterday's game with two former greats, two All-Stars, Derry's Chrissie McKeague and Kevin Cassidy. So that's all to come on another packed show, folks. But first up, as I say, I caught up with the man himself in convoy after the game, Jim McGuinness. Jim, so many plus points from today's victory, you know, as a management team and as a squad. What's your overall assessment of the game?
Very happy to get through, Brendan. Obviously a very difficult challenge in Derry, and that's the way that it panned out, particularly in the first half. They brought a lot of, I suppose, nous and intelligence and gameplay and the ability that they have within their group, you know, and asked a lot of questions, and that was always going to be the case anyway. You know, we had spoken a lot about that. We were hopefully prepared for that as best we could have been, you know, so we had to, classic, I suppose, first half, classic Ulster Championship game, you know, it was cagey and a lot of intelligence on the pitch and people asking certain questions, and we were trying to break free a bit and hit them on the counter. They were getting very big moments on the counter as well, none more so than the goal, and so yeah, you know, all of that was kind of playing out, but we eventually settled and found a good rhythm in the second half and into the breeze. It was very pleasing to get that score up on the board at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the mindset of the team got in, Jim, so many people are writing off Derry going into this. Was there any difficulty? People talk about complacency. You don't do complacency. The brilliant league run, so you could feel that sense of calm in Donegal's play today, even when Derry had their purple patches.
Well, it would be very kind of disingenuous of me to even go down that road, considering it was a role reversal with Derry and Donegal last year. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wrote us off as well, but we still believed we could do it. So obviously we knew Derry coming in, you know, even though the league hadn't panned out the way that they would have liked, I would imagine, we knew exactly, not exactly, but we had a very good idea about what they were going to look to do. You know, they play very intelligently on transitional moments, and then they can create situations then in established attack where they actually as well create transitional moments, and they were doing that extremely well in the first half. So it was about trying to manage that and navigate that, and then obviously on top of that then, you know, try and reclaim a bit of that, you know, which I think we did in the second half, and we kept them on the peripheries much more. They weren't able to penetrate, and it meant that our structure was much more solid. Yeah, in that first half, Jim, there was a few occasions they almost got in for a goal. You know, Patton had the double save, which was top class. The goal that they got then from Higgins, their response to it, you know, the goal and the point straight after, before half time. Just come back to that
level. You could see from the Donegal team, you know, it didn't matter what Derry were going to throw at them. There's a certain level of calmness that we're just going to go back to our system and it's going to come through from us, and it did. It was a brilliant finish to the half.
No, listen, I hope so. You know, we weren't overly calm on the sideline now because we were very annoyed that our centre-half back was off the pitch. Like, you know, he cramped in his calf and he has to leave the pitch, and then they score the goal in that moment. You know, he's standing beside us on the sideline and they're going straight down the middle of the structure from our point of view, and he's in the sideline beside us. So I don't know about that. Like, the same thing happened as last year in Celtic Park. It's very frustrating, you know, but...
How would you deal with it, Jim? Do you think about like the blood sub thing? Could you, if a man's getting treatment, should somebody be able to go in for him?
I don't know if it's even a question that should be directed at coaches. Like, you know, we're at the coalface trying to manage and coach. Other people are at the coalface trying to, you know, organise and develop that part of the game. But I think whatever way that it falls, it should be in a situation where, you know, there's no disadvantage. Like, you shouldn't be at that level of a disadvantage, you know. And going back to Derry, they wanted to play in transitional moments. You know, they've got a sideline ball, our man's off the pitch, and then bang, you know, they sensed that moment. And you're a man down, and against top quality players, when you're defending with a man down, it's going to be difficult to keep them out, and that's what happened. Yeah,
7-up at half time, Jim. You know, Derry only scored 1-5, which was very good defensively from us. Blistering start to the second half, 2 pointers and a score, but after that, those 7 scores in a row from ourselves really dominated the kick out, and there was the platform for the victory.
No, the kickouts were very important. I suppose our own kickouts are very important as well. And obviously, you know, with the turnovers, it gives us sort of those transitional moments. You know, I thought we had a lot of really good transitional moments. Shane, Kieran, Moore coming from deep, Patter, you know, Dara, there's a lot of men that really kind of asked questions vertically. And in the second half, and listen, you don't need me to tell you that we're very comfortable playing against the breeze in Donegal. Like, it's not something that you're in the dressing room going, how are we going to do this? They're doing it almost every single week in their club football. You know, it's just the way it is, you know. And so if there's a breeze and you've got to play up a hill, and that's not going to put us off. It just means you have to double down. You know, the most important thing is getting hands on the ball, and if you can get hands on the ball, then you can go, and the support, you know, we would feel that we have people that can go and support that ball then, you know.
Yeah, and Jim, just an attack element there, you mentioned Shane, some of the power running from himself, Mogan, Murr, you know, Gary Boyle was unbelievable. Dara's 2-pointer kick. So just think of the point there Shane set up for Mogan that time. Derry didn't look like they could actually keep pace with Donegal. The athleticism coming from deep from Donegal sometimes just seems unstoppable.
Well, I don't know about unstoppable because everything's stoppable, but definitely, you know, we're fortunate. There's a lot of good lads there. They're very dedicated, you know, and they look after themselves, and they're putting themselves in a good position to be able to go and do these types of things, you know. Like, I suppose what you've seen today is a culmination of a lot of work and a lot of discipline and a lot of sacrifice. And, you know, thankfully, you know, when you get into a championship game and you've got your home crowd and a big atmosphere and a nice day and everything, it's nice for the like of Shane to be able to go then and open up his legs and do that and ask that question. I think that's you know, there has to be a trade-off with all the sacrificing. There has to be that sort of trade-off as well. And so that's one aspect of it, and the work we're trying to do off the pitch in terms of, you know, the conditioning, and then obviously there's an athletic profile there, you know, that's a bit natural as well. You know, we're fortunate we have that sort of a number of players that can do that, you know. So all of those things I think factored into it, but at the end of the day you still have to have the you know, the motivation and the attitude to go and ask the question, and that was very, very encouraging that we were able to do that. Even in established attack, Patrick, you know, punched holes, dropped the shoulder, stepped inside, and basically was saying, you know, there's a gap there, or there's a half a gap there, but I'm going to force my way through, and I'm going to get something out of this attack. And that's the same type of thing, just in a more condensed area, you know.
Yeah, and it's a huge plus for us from a squad perspective today. Obviously, not many people have seen Michael Murphy starting today and playing the whole game, which was huge. And of course, McBurdy, he's absolutely flying, comes back in, picks up where he left off. But of course, you know, Oisín Gallen, who was one of the few players not to play the last couple of games. And of course Jason McGee in as well. Jim, brilliant to see all these players back, you know, really pushing for squad places. It just gives you a lot of different ways tactically to look at games, and if games are going against you, you know, you have a serious squad there?
Well, we're trying to build it, like, you know, and I suppose at the end of the day we came up short last year, and we came up short because maybe the depth wasn't there that we maybe thought was there, and we asked a lot of people to rejoin the squad to try and create a bit of depth, and obviously there's always going to be injuries, and there's always going to be people, you know, that are thereabouts, and you're trying to build that and build minutes and sort of develop the squad as well. We give people a chance over the last couple of rounds of the league, and also that's what you need. Like, all of them people that you're looking at there, and maybe some of them that aren't on that list, they're all going to be needed. They're all going to be needed over the course of this campaign. And, you know, for us, it's just kind of trying to build that night after night after night. And the best way to do that is win. You know, we won the game, we're going to progress, and that gives you a chance to do that again. And then all them fellas will be out, you know, battling against each other on you know, Tuesday and Thursday night coming, you know. Yeah,
and just last question for me, Jim. Obviously, Monaghan looking ahead now. Gabriel Bannigan's doing a fantastic job. You're very respectful to Derry, as you always would be. Monaghan are teaming up, though. You know, they've had a brilliant league campaign. They were only out of the division for one season. They're a top team, Jim, and, you know, in many ways, the former young Byrne, you know, Bannigan, Hanlon, you know, begging, two-pointer kicks. You know, they've got an array of talent and a bench as well. You know, they really took the game to Roscommon the last day. So that's a formidable team waiting now for the quarter.
It definitely is. It definitely is. And for me, they're one of the most exciting teams in the country. They're playing on the front foot. They're man marking all over the pitch. Their first thought process is, you know, first 4 steps forward. They're very fluid. They've got really good fitness levels, because you can't play that game. You know, you can't play that game. They absolutely just went for it in the league final and kept it going the whole way through, you know. So they are bringing a lot to the table. And then obviously every Ulster Championship game between Donegal and Monaghan's always been extremely difficult to navigate, and they're at home. You know, they're at home, so even though we're happy tonight and we're content tonight and we'll go home and we'll enjoy this evening and relax, you know, it's back to ground zero tomorrow, and we've got to start the process all over again and get our minds around what that next challenge looks like.
Yes, indeed. Jim McGuinness there. You know, it's funny after matches getting reaction from people. They're normally a lot quicker than that, but I don't know what it is when you get the chance to talk to Jim there, and you know, there's always so much in what he's saying, and it's always brilliant to chat to him. Extended that out a bit, and listen, he's such a great talker, as you heard there. And of course, Donegal now getting ready for Monaghan, and a team is getting ready for a semi-final is Donegal under 20s, and after the break we're going to hear from their manager, Gary Boyle.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Tina Turner. That is mine.
Want to show someone that you think they're simply the best? Or do you have a proud Mary you want to spoil? West End mega hit Tina, the Tina Turner musical, is coming to Bordgash Energy Theatre, Dublin as part of its first ever Ireland tour. Join Highland Radio on Friday the 6th of June for an unforgettable trip. Set to a soundtrack of Tina's greatest hits, this inspirational and exhilarating story celebrates the life of the Queen of Rock and Roll. Trip includes luxury coach travel, overnight stay at the 4-star City North Hotel on a bed and breakfast basis, and ticket to the show. Contact us today on 9125,000 or check out the outlet on highlandradio.com to book your place now.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Yes, folks, welcome back. Shortly we're going to hear from our big match analysis team, Chrissie McKeague of Derry and Kevin Cassidy of Donegal. But first, as I say, before the break, I caught up earlier today with under-20 manager Gary Boyle. Yes, here with Gary Boyle. Gary, before we get to that brilliant performance with Tyrone, the campaign itself, brilliant victories over Fermanagh, Antrim and Down. You must be very pleased with how the season's gone so far.
Yeah, I suppose so far, we kind of broke it into the group stage and the 4 games that we had coming up. We just took it game by game. We know we had the 4 games in 2 weeks. We didn't really, we had an idea what was in the group, but really until you play games, you don't really know. And I think we gained a lot of traction through playing the 4 games, and now happy with the performances. They've been building a bit of consistency in the performances, and that's been a pleasing aspect of it.
And when you took the job, was the rules, was that still, they were still possibly coming in there? So there was a whole lot of learning for you to do. Not only were you coming into the squad, get everybody right, you had to adjust to all the new rules as well. A lot of stuff.
Look at the rules. I've been honest about it, the rules were well down the pecking order. It was just trying to get the group together, trying to get cohesion in the group, and even the lads. Chatting to the lads early on, I says the rules. We're not worried about the rules. The rules will be the rules whenever they decide on them. So we've done very little on the rules, to be honest. And that is being honest about it.
Gary, just looking at you, obviously I was up at your Fermanagh game, and then I was reading the reports in other matches, and listen, we obviously were too strong for them. The Tyrone game was the big game, was coming down the tracks. We keep saying it, it's the team to beat in Ulster, but certainly coming into that game last week, it was not that many people could call it, but it was a serious performance from your team.
No, the lads, and the lads definitely put in a big performance now, and I think even building into the week, we had the Antrim game, we travelled away to Antrim, then we had Down at home, and then we had the other game, the 3 games in the 7 days. But the lads really embraced that, and I think it definitely made us stronger, them playing the 3 games in the 7 days and using the panel and as much as we possibly could as well. But yeah, the Tyrone game was a step up. Yeah, it still was a group game, but it was a step up, and I think it was an important moment for the group as well to see where they were at, and that the lads definitely put up a good shift and a good performance, and hopefully they can take a bit of belief from that themselves, and I think the whole group will take belief from that, as well, to move forward now onto the knockout stages, because it's going to be a big step up.
Yeah, and Gary, just looking at your team from the couple of times I've seen them, very well drilled, very well balanced. Just looking at McBride and nets, he's happy enough to come out the pitch as well. He might have been happy with that goalkeeping situation at a state. He looked like a guy's very keen to come and get involved in the play whenever it's required. Just looking at Prentival, the way marshals your defence, the tackling at the back, Gallagher and Neely, and then breaking up the pitch. Your half back line, Campbell, McRae and McGinty was everywhere. Some energy, like even the midfield, Martin and Muldoon, before we get the forward line. There seems a great pair and great understanding with all the teams so far. It looks like there's a real bond being created there.
Yeah, that's right. Now, there definitely is a lot of legs in the team, without a shadow of a doubt, and we always had known that from when we were looking at the group. But there definitely is a lot of legs in the team, and we're trying to use that to our advantage as well. The lads are mad to get up the pitch, they're mad to get back and to defend as well, and even taking them games that came thick and fast, they breezed through the games, they definitely did breeze through them, but.
Yeah, and just again coming to the forward line there, along with those guys breaking, and obviously causing problems. I was just looking at some of the play, obviously Sen Carr, the complete quality of Killian there, and I've just been watching him for a few years, and the likes of McCahill and that, the way they just drive through people. McCahill at times looks like he can just burst through. It doesn't matter who's, if one's in front of him, listen, no problem, 2 or 3, he just seems like such a physical edge. So if any team, I was looking at a couple of teams trying to set up defensively against Donegal, our shape's very strong, but when we break up the pitch, there seems to be no more than our senior team, a load of guys that can break that line, and either they're getting in or it's the first pass over the top to release another man.
Yeah. A lot of them very comfortable on the ball. Definitely very comfortable on the ball, and using their legs and using their strengths that they have as well, and probably playing with that, just a wee bit of not playing with too much fear either, to go and break them lines, and probably with the new rules now, and fitness is a big part of it, and the boys are using their fitness as well, to keep running all the time.
Yeah, and so Tyrone and Derry is on the other side of the draw, obviously. Ourselves, is that kind of the three most fancied? Is there anybody else putting their hand in that? Would you think that could come up with something, or do you expect, I suppose at the minute, not saying who's won it, but they'll be the three, it's a bit ahead of the rest?
Look, there's another round of group games now on Wednesday night, and we'll see how that goes, and then we have the playoff games after that. Teams will build momentum now again over the next couple of weeks. If they get a couple of ones under the belt, whoever we do play in the semi-final are going to be coming off at least 2 ones on the bounce, I would imagine, so they're going to have momentum going into the game, and we know that semi-final is going to be a big step up, whoever it is.
Is the pre-quarter final then, the winners of that, is it an open to draw again for the semis, or is that already paired?
Possibly could be. It depends if 3 teams come out of our group. There could be a draw will take place if 2 teams come out of Group A and 2 teams come out of Group B. It'll be kind of predetermined.
Well, listen, Gary, fantastic work so far, you and all your team there. I want to wish you best in the semis to come.
Cheers, Brendan. Thanks.
Yes, folks, Gary Boyle there, caught up with him earlier today. The sun was shining. We were actually out in Letterkenny Golf Club. Great to catch up with Gary. He plays off, I think, 4 or 5. I think, yeah, that's what he was telling me anyway. Folks, we're coming towards, as I say, the major segment. We're going to delve through the Donegal victory over Derry yesterday. There was just a wee note there. It's a very sad one. A young lady from the Cloghaneely club. She was club member and she was on the Cloghaneely band. She passed away. She was only 13. Enya McMurrow, and there's a special tribute to her yesterday at the game. Really, really sad occasion. I know Sinead Brainer, our county PRO, organised a tribute to her. It's up on Donegal's Facebook and on their Instagram, and up on the Donegal official site as well. Lovely tribute to the young lady. Very, very sad, very tough on her family, but the whole Donegal GA community out there yesterday and people involved in the tribute. It was a very, I suppose, poignant memory to somebody who left us so young. So well done to everybody who got involved in that tribute, and I know that Enya never missed a game. She was a big Donegal fan, so that's Enya McMurrow there. As I say, folks, we're just coming up to the last part of the show. We're going to hear from Chrissie, McKeague and Kevin Cassidy after this break.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen, and there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
A PTSB mortgage gets you moving. Whether you're buying or building your first home or your forever home, our dedicated team can help find the rate that's right for you. And with an online portal to track every stage of your application, it all comes together for a mortgage experience that's altogether more human. PTSB. Apply online today. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Over 18s only. Security and insurance is required. Permanent TSB PLC trading as PTSB is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Celebrating 50 years, McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles in Buncrana continues to be Donegal's go-to destination for stunning bathroom makeovers. With a vast selection of premium tiles and bathroom products, our showroom is your ultimate one-stop shop for crafting the perfect space. We've earned our reputation through expert advice, unbeatable prices and a dedication to customer satisfaction. Visit our showroom in Cockhill and Buncrana and see why we've been Donegal's top choice for 50 years and counting. Call us at 07493 63050.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen, and there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Yes, folks, we're down to the final segment of the show, and earlier on I caught up with 2 top men of the game, 2 brilliant defenders in their own time, all-stars, of course, Kevin Cassidy and Chrissie McKeague, now doing bits and pieces of media, great at analysing the game. Here's what they had to say. Chrissie and Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brendan.
You keeping good, guys?
Yeah, enjoying the sun.
Enjoying the sun. Hard to beat, lads. It was an epic day there in Ballabafay yesterday. The Derry Donegal sagas continuing. Just before we get on to it, Chrissie, I'm sure you were home last night. Did you catch the Sunday game? Did you see the hurling league finals? Is that how it can be done on league finals? Because I was down and doing the football ones, and they were flat as a pancake in a very emotionless Crow Park. But it wasn't the story in Páirc Uí Chaoimh yesterday.
No, like it wasn't, but to me, it's a very simple fix. I think we're all aware of what the fix is. That the season needs to be prolonged to some sort of extent. I understand, like I seen an article a few weeks ago about the big dual counties like Galway and Cork and how difficult it is for them to run off their club seasons, and that how much they appreciate the inter-county season now being condensed. So, every county sort of has their own obstacles to overcome, but there's no doubt that the week between a National League final and the first round of the championship doesn't do anything for the promotion of the league. And like the reality is, every league final deserves respect, and there is a huge amount of prestige still for me in playing, especially in the Division One National League football final. And like, let's be honest, the Mayo and Kerry game just it was a very dull atmosphere in comparison to the hurling, especially. But like, you even seen the pride that Monaghan took and won in Division Two, and that's how it should be. Like, every time you get to go and play a national final for your county, it should be given the respect it deserves, and you want to go and win it, and you should enjoy when you win it too. So look, that's something that they're going to have to look at, because I do think that playing the National League finals is still the right thing. I wouldn't be a fan of the top team wins the league. I think 1 and 2 should play in a league final, but it's all a matter of opinion. At the same time, I can totally get that.
Yeah. Kevin, the game itself, I suppose, actually on that, Chrissie, Offaly as well. I was down for that Offaly game. They were buzzing after they won it. And as you said, there still is that a great thing with Crow Park, of course, for the players going there. It's just, I mean, you take it yesterday, there was probably maybe 7,000 or 8,000 less in Ballabafay than was in Crow Park that day. But of course, you've got, a proper atmosphere. So yeah, certainly something that needs to be looked at. But Kevin, just leading up to the game yesterday, it was hard for anybody to kind of make a case for Derry, yet they were a dangerous opponent, maybe particularly after the game in Ballyshannon. When you seen the team sheet and Murphy and McBurty was in, it was a huge statement of intent for Donegal in terms of their strong lineup along with the bench that they had.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I suppose two things. Like, our league campaign was obviously good. Game in Ballyshannon, but like, Jim was never going to do anything else. He wanted his best team playing on the day, and you know yourself, Jim. It's all about he wants the Ulster Championship, and it's a massive, especially at home, it's a massive thing. But leaving Ballyshannon that day, I honestly thought that Derry could cause us 1 or 2 problems, and they did that yesterday. To be honest, they punched holes at times, and I suppose you look back to the penalty miss by McGuigan, like that's massive, and against a team like Donegal who defends so well, like, you have to take every single opportunity. And I thought, as soon as that was missed yesterday, the tide just turned, and Derry could never get it back after that.
Yeah, and Chrissie, just on the Derry lineup, then obviously Rogers was in, McGrogan was in, and looked sharp early on. McFall, Murray, all the question marks about lads it all started. I suppose McNichol, then there was question marks in about potentially how the kick-out strategy would go. But when you seen the teams at the start, Chrissie, what did you think? Did you think, right, Derry have a fairly strong team out, there still is a chance here?
Yeah, look, they had a lot of really, they had a lot of their best players playing. Like, Rogers played, McGuigan played, Glass played, Ethan Doherty played, Conor Doherty played. Like, I would say at the minute, for me, they're Derry's most influential players. So they all played. But it's one thing playing being on form. And like, there's a lot of the Derry players at the minute that are out of form. And like, they're only human. When you go through a league campaign like that and you don't pick up a 1, irrespective of you're getting beat by 20 points or 1 point, when you're not picking up 1s, your confidence suffers. And Derry yesterday, despite playing well in patches, they still looked like a team for me that were just devoid of confidence. And we've all been there as players. It's a horrible place to be. And that's why, if anything, now the break being as long as it is probably the best thing for that Derry group to sort of get away from it a wee bit and just mentally freshen up as much as anything else. Because when you come from Derry's sort of track record, where their expectations were sky high there for a number of years, they were knocking around the point age of the All-Ireland series, expectations was through the roof. And they're just going to have to, they almost find themselves where Donegal were before Jim McGuinness came in now, where people were writing them off and people were saying that they had no chance, whatever else. But Jim has just shown how quickly things can change. And I think from a Derry perspective, that's what they should be clinging on to at the minute, that sport can go one way, but it can very quickly change. But they're going to have to start doing the right things again. They're going to have to start finding form. And they weren't expected to win yesterday, albeit they probably would have wanted to play better in the second half, but hope is not lost to that Derry team. They're still littered with a lot of talent, and I would say I wouldn't be surprised that after the under-20 campaign ends for Derry, hopefully that team goes all the way. They're well capable. There'll be a good surplus of them lads coming too and give them maybe a wee injection of energy.
Yeah, we hope so. Listen, folks, that we want to see as much competitive play, and I suppose each county getting to its optimum. Donegal are definitely there. Kevin, Derry won the toss. Kevin, the way Donegal play, in many ways, they allow you to kind of play your way into the game because they back off you and let you have the ball, and they'll wait until a bad pass or jump in for an interception. But did you get the feeling, Kevin, Donegal kind of started the game, there didn't seem to be any massive urgency. It didn't seem like a championship game at the start. Were teams just sussing it out, or is that just the first game, Kevin, or is that just the way things are now, that there's no rush at the start of a match because it's all about the closing stages and finishing out games? But were you surprised at the opening exchanges? Derry were very comfortable. Do you think they were running down the clock a small bit, or what did you think of them opening exchanges?
No, I suppose a lot was made of Derry opting to play against it, and like as you say, we had the breeze, but I don't think we can kick one ball inside. But that's how we play to be. It doesn't matter what kind of elements are there. It's basically get back and set up, and like Donegal are very comfortable on that arc. And as you say, all they did was Derry were over and back, and we just waited for the mistake. And then once the mistake, the key is once the mistake's made, that you punish on the other end. And I think every time a mistake was made, more often than not, Donegal, were able to punch a score with that mistake. So that buys into your setup then. If that is your setup and that's your mindset going into it, and it's preached all week that, listen, this is where we're going, we're patient, and as soon as we get the ball off them, we hurt them. Once that happens, then you grow in belief, and you just continue to do that. And just looking at yesterday as a whole, I think, I know McNichol was in there, and maybe he's not had the experience at this level, but I just think that Donegal destroyed Derry on both kickouts, and for me, that's what the game was won and lost.
Yeah, and was it from scoring from that more than anything, Chrissie, that did you feel that, you looked at particularly in the second half when Donegal had those 7 points in a row, they dominated the kickout as well. In terms of, you've got Patton, even though he was hitting long kicks, he was still trying to pick out men, whereas some of McNichol's them were going, into places where Donegal, and particularly I suppose the Gary Boyle's goal, they were caught the wrong side of the whole Donegal attack. Was that something that, it's just Donegal pressure, or is it just missing links in that regard?
There's a lot in that question, Brendan, because I have total sympathy for Neil McNichol. Neil McNichol was brought in at the start of the year for the very simple reason he's a very accomplished club player out the pitch. Obviously plays for his club Glenolm, plays around the middle, can play centre half forward, and he's very good in the ball, and he's got an excellent kick, long kick. So I can understand the start of the year why he's brought in, because obviously the rules were different at the start of the year. But then the rules changed, which in itself, is quite bizarre that rules change in a competition. So they changed, and then Owen Lynch suffered a really bad quad injury. So then Ben McKinless was brought in. But the reality is, Neil McNichol's been training all year, and Paddy Tally showed him the loyalty to go with him yesterday. But that's some pressure for Neil McNichol yesterday to come in, who's not an out-and-out goalkeeper. He's now not joining in general play, which he was very comfortable at. And Donegal are able to press a kick out relatively well. Caveat that with the fact that it should be never easier to press a kick out because of the 40-metre arc. But yes, Derry did suffer on their own kick out yesterday, and they suffered on the Donegal kick out too. So you just can't be laying all the blame on Neil McNichol for that. And then Sean Patton at the other end could make anybody look like a poor goalkeeper, because he's probably the best goalkeeper in the country at the minute. And I'm not just saying that because I'm with two Donegal men. Like, has array of kicking, his ability to see space. And like the Donegal movement's very good too. Like Kieran Moore seems to have a really good understanding with Sean Patton, because more often than not, it's him that's running into space. But like with the way the modern game is now, whatever about the old game, possession's paramount. You're only trying to break down an 11-man block now, so there's more space. Players are so well conditioned, they're so smart, they're so well coached. It's more difficult than ever in my estimation to turn the other team over. So I can understand why Donegal sit on that more low block, because it can become a very taxing game, out pressing and hurrying people around that middle third, because the chances of turning them over anyway is relatively slim, and you can leave an acre of room or in front of your full back line. But Derry yesterday, like any game this year, the team that gets beat is always going to be the team that hasn't got enough ball. And quite simply, yesterday, Derry couldn't get enough ball in any facet of the game. Donegal got so much ball off the Derry kick out, so much ball off their own kick out, and they turned the ball over less times in Derry. So, to me, that's why you've seen the 10-point deficit at the very end.
That's interesting what Chris is saying there, Kim, just around possession, because you see very little fouls now. I mean, Donegal won 21 from play in the game, and 3 of them were indiscretions. You know, players they're being coached well not to foul and tackle, but they're also, I find, sometimes can't get near the man nearly. Cass, just on that, on Michael Murphy starting and playing the whole game, very little of us kind of maybe seen that. Was that a statement of Jim to say, here, we can't just be looking at Michael every time to shore up a game or turn a game, you know, as if it's all down to him? Was this Jim more or less saying, this man's ready to play a full match? He's not just here when we're in trouble or to steady the ship. He can play the full match. How do you see Murphy's role? And do you think that was a huge statement for Jim and Michael, that, listen, this man can play full matches now, and anything's possible for him in terms of game time this season?
Yeah, we know Murphy ourselves. Like he was never going to come back and just kind of be half fit, or he was always going to be able to last the whole match. To be honest with you, I think yesterday was a case of to get Michael a game himself, regardless of how he played. I think it was just to get a game under his belt at this intensity. League's one thing, but championships are a totally different animal, and obviously there's bigger games coming down ahead now for Donegal, and I think that the fact that Michael got through a full game yesterday, listen, he didn't shoot the lights out, but he still got a full game under his belt. That, to me, was more for Jim, because like he can start Michael now, he can leave him off the bench, you know. Everything's open now because Michael's been out for 3 years, and I think you have to, for yourself, you have to go in at the top end to see where you're really at. And I think that's what he was doing yesterday, was basically, right, get in there, get your feel for it, and hopefully, you know, he's a wee bit sharper.
Yeah. And Chrissie, so taking us into half time, what was your feelings then? You know, obviously that blistering start to the second half, me and you was talking there before you come on just about 7-point leads. It looks like a serious cushion, but not the way things are now. And it was a brilliant start to the second half. It's everything that Derry could have wanted in those opening periods. And did you just think at that moment, listen, it's game on here, innings possible again?
You really did. Like, the energy of the games are completely different now. Like, when Derry were going in 7 points down, yes, you'd rather be 7 points up than 7 points down, don't get me wrong, but you would have felt in the crowd, and you would have felt just in general, that the game has changed so much now that a 7-point lead is far from insurmountable. It's a completely different psyche now. And then, true to form, Brendan Rodgers came out. He nailed the first one, was a 1-pointer, I think. Yep. He nailed the 2-pointer shortly after. And from memory, I think Derry got another 1-pointer. Was it back down to 2 points at a stage?
It was back to two pointers, no point, yeah.
And you thought, like, if Derry don't believe now, and like the breeze, like, for people that weren't at the game yesterday, like, the breeze was considerable. Like, there's no doubt about that. And with the 2-pointers now, it completely changes the game, because you can't sit right and low, especially if you're defending against a team that's shooting with the breeze in their back. So, but in fairness, Donegal were asked a few questions yesterday. They were asked a few questions in the first 20 minutes, And in fairness to them, they weren't phased. They were asked questions at the start of the second half, and they weren't phased either. And like I mentioned it yesterday, at the game, like Donegal look like a team that are now a year and a half at least into their new project, and they've done so much work. They're so cohesive, they're so united, they're so on script with each other. It's going to take a lot to phase them. And when I reflect back on the game yesterday, like even when Derry brought it back down to 2 points, the body language of the players in the pitch, they still just didn't look like a team that were going right. Let's go on here and try and win the game. And like from a Derry perspective, that was disappointing, and it maybe just shows where their confidence is as at present.
Yeah, it was interesting, Chrissie. You know what? I thought exactly the same, because I just could see from that brilliant team that you had, that back-to-back team, that team that was so nearly in the final in 23, that you could see wee moments of that in there. But as you said, it didn't seem to be carrying through the whole team in it. Of course, down a few men as well, no more than yourself. Kevin, Donegal, that's 7 points in a row. After that, Derry 5. It was a remarkable period of the game where you just seen the best of Donegal. And as soon as these games started to open a bit, boys, who's going to keep up with these guys? You know, your own man, Gary Boyle, of course, it had that unbelievable first half. I mean, the striking, Kevin, you know, I was texting Jim last night just saying, I'm looking at Gary Boyle, he's in and out of the Donegal team there. You know, I was kind of thinking, you know, for a good few seasons, you're thinking, you know, is it going to take off from him? And look at him now, Kevin. He's playing out of his skin, and the running power and the power, the strength that he has. You know, you try and tackle him, he hits you in the tackle, he knocks, he makes space for himself. And I say, Moore and Shane O'Donnell, Mogan, and the pace coming. Once the game opens up that bit, or if they're the wrong side of people, they just seem unstoppable. You can't get to them.
Listen, Dara's having a great year, and you see, Davy, you're down here often enough yourself. You see the way he lives his life. You know, he's down in that pitch practicing. You know, when he's not with Donegal, so all the top players do it, and if you don't do that, you haven't a chance of even competing that level. So he does it. He lives his life that way. Now, and I had this conversation last night, Davy, is like, now's the time. Dara has to step up now again, because the next day out he's going to be a marked man. The top teams are going to man mark him, so now is the time you really step up. And I think he's got that in his locker now. He's mature enough in the way he plays his football. But not even Dara, like even the Letterkenny lads and the way they're flying, Moore, O'Donnell, Davy, like it's a serious just running power and pace. And at the minute, and I said it before, or yesterday's game, at the minute, I think Galway is the only team capable of living with Donegal at the minute in terms of physicality, pace, power. You know, obviously we might see the likes of Kerry and Dublin come to the fore now, but for me at the minute, these are the two who are way above everybody else.
Yeah. And Chris, you see our forward line there, you look at it, and Kevin mentioned it, we don't kick the ball down even with the breeze, even with Murphy and McBurdy in there. It's not that we Donegal play. It kind of takes almost for the game to maybe get into a certain flow. And if you look at McBurdy's 7 points, it was remarkable. He was flying before he picked up the injury, and he's taken up where he left off. But he's coming on the loop now, Chrissie. Is that something that's almost as if Donegal runners make the angle, and then you've got someone like McBurdy coming on the loop with that trusty left foot? Listen, you've marked him plenty of times. You've had some battles with him, but it's such a difficult proposition because someone's going to make the space, and then someone that's coming around in the loop, very, very hard to defend against.
While difficult to defend, and like it's while difficult to defend when a top forward like that's getting handed the ball. But like Kevin's still right. Like I was asked during the week what I thought might be a tactic that some managers or teams haven't used yet in the league that they were hiding, and I thought it might be more of the advanced mark. Throughout the league, and even yesterday, like we are seeing none of the advanced mark being used at all. And like Michael had got himself under the edge of the square a couple of times in the first half on Owen McAvoy, and Donegal didn't kick it in. And I understand, like, it's not a gimme for a forward to win that type of ball in, but the advanced mark is so advantageous for the forward. You would think that teams would be trying it a bit more often. But like Donegal, when I look at Donegal, their biggest strength for me is how much they understand what they're trying to do in every facet of the game. They know exactly what they want to do in the opposition kick out. They know exactly what they want to do in their own kick out. They know exactly how they want to defend, and they know exactly how they want to attack. how many other teams at the minute in the country can you say that are as well scripted as Donegal? And like from a playing perspective, when you go into big games and the pressure's on and the White Heated Championship, you don't want to do a wild pile of thinking. You just want to go back to what you're trained to do. Like you fall to the level of your training, as Jim Gavin has said numerous times. And Donegal look like that at the minute. And I would say when the summer opens up, they'll be well equipped to kick the ball into. Probably Oisín Gallen's one of their better ball winners inside. He's probably, alongside Michael, one of the players that likes a kick ball. And so like you have to give Donegal credit. Like Oisín Gallen, for me, is still Donegal's best forward. He's an all-star from last year, and like Donegal didn't even start him yesterday. So like he is bound to be a big ace going forward.
Yeah. Chrissie, just throwing a wee question to you. You're going to obviously be doing, you're a great analyst there already, you know, from the get-go, because you'd always known that from any time you did interviews and that, you'd be a deep thinker about the game. Monaghan now and Donegal is again, you've referenced how strong Donegal look. You know, Monaghan just down 1 year, straight back up as champions, and I suppose a bit different from Derry. Confidence would be high in terms of their season so far. Is this a completely different prospect? Are Monaghan coming in now, and I suppose if you were in their team, is this a great place to be? Going in, you're underdogs, you're at home, and you can have a real rattle at Donegal.
You can, and like full respect to Monaghan, but like the reality is, and like Division 2 is not Division 1. And I've often said it, Brendan, that the best preparation for any team going into the championship is to play Division 1 football. It's massive. And people are saying that Monaghan are flying and going well. And yet, look, full respect, they've navigated their way through Division 2 with ease. They've put in a really good showing against a decent Roscommon side in the Division 2 final, but Roscommon and the rest of the teams in Division 2 are not Donegal. And I just think that in itself gives Donegal a massive advantage going into this game, because they have the history of playing Division 1 teams throughout the league. Derry didn't have a great league campaign, but the reality is they're still a decent Division 1 team for this year anyway, and Donegal have played them last. So I just don't think the game is going to go into the sort of real tight competitive game that many predict. I'm not ruling it out, because Monaghan are Monaghan, and in championship football they seem to find their best form. But like Donegal should be well able for Monaghan from what I've seen of Donegal, and let's see how much it has mattered of a full league campaign in Division 1 in comparison to Division 2.
Yeah, brilliant, Chris. And listen, Chrissie, I hope your men can, I suppose, regroup. They've got a good layoff now, and, you know, matter of getting everybody injury free and just pulling together, Chrissie, and just get back to that force that Derry was.
No, it is, Brendan. Look, that's part of sport. You have good days and you have bad days, unfortunately, for Derry in too many recent years. I think it's well, aside from we beat Donegal in the qualifiers or in the group stages in the Larne series a couple of years back, but Ballybuffet typically hasn't been a happy hunting ground for Derry. But not full credit to Donegal. They're going well, and I think rightly so. They're being tipped as being a real contender this year for the biggest prize.
Yeah, good man. Listen, Chrissie, I know you're doing a bit of coaching and all that as well. You were down at McKeague's up for the match night. It was great to have you down there. And listen, thanks so much for coming on the DL Debate and giving us your views.
Thanks, Brendan. Appreciate it.
Catch up soon. Chrissie McKeague there. Top man. Yeah, that was Chrissie and Kevin there rounding up the big match in McKeague Park yesterday.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Octavia, Fabia, Scala, Superb, Kamik, Karoq, Enyaq, Kodiak, Petrol, Diesel, Plug-in Hybrid, Electric, HVO. So much choice, but not that much time. Whatever 251 Skoda you choose, you should order it now, because even though we have a wide range, they're selling fast. See what's